The biggest controversy rages around a baiting practice called chumming, luring sharks with blood.
The problem is if you let them eat, they may actually get full or get bored and then leave. So the goal is to keep them stimulated, but not feed them. But the bad thing is that we are creating, in some cases, bad habits. So it's like having a nice barbecue restaurant, and they make sure that those odors waft out of the restaurant to lure people down the sidewalk to come to the restaurant. So in a way, chumming does change behavior of animals.
But there's one thing all fans of the great white agree on. As global populations dwindle, protecting these endangered apex predators is a top priority. In the world of monster fish, these whiskered whoppers may not be pretty, but they pack a wallop. Muscular and massive, the Wels catfish.
They're really ugly as a fish goes. They have a big giant mouth, they have little whiskers at the ends, and they have little beady eyes.
What they lack in looks, they make up for in attitude. Aggressive bottom feeders, Wels catfish are equal opportunity carnivores, gobbling nearly any fish or shellfish they encounter. They even hunt animals above the water.
Catfish will eat things like ducks. They'll actually come up to the surface and suck ducks in.
And Europe's largest freshwater fish reaches jaw-dropping proportions. Healthy adults stretch 1.5 meters. Some record breakers have grown 3 meters or longer, topping the scales at over 180 kilos. Biologists credit their mega size to powerful mouths equipped with super suction.
They're the ultimate bottom sucker. I mean, these things are like giant Hoover vacuum cleaners on the bottom.
And Wels catfish are cunning hunters who kill by confusion. Using a pair of sharp fins below their jawlines, the catfish stir up currents and commotion in the water. As prey become disoriented, the catfish goes in for the kill. For anglers, it all makes the whopping Wels catfish a mega catch.
The Wels is the king. They don't need to fear anything, apart from an angler.
October 2004, Westfalen, Germany. Two fishing buddies, Sebastian Rozwadowski and Christoph Grafe, set out for carp and small catfish on the Weser River, known catfish stomping ground. Powering a rubber dinghy, they reach a secret fishing spot and settle in for a relaxing afternoon. They have no idea a leviathan lurks below. Suddenly, Sebastian's rod takes a dip. He's got something huge.
First I thought, hey, we've hooked a giant tree branch. And he says, I have one. And I say, that can't be.
But it's no tree branch. Sebastian lets out his line as the underwater giant pulls the boat to the center of the river, where the current's flow and momentum can help a fish shake a hook. The same currents that are toughest for a fisherman to fight.
The first half hour pulled us zigzag across the river. And we were shocked what might be on the other end. He did what he wanted with us. We had no control over the fish.
The men struggle to stay afloat as the waters rage around them. They could get swept downstream or caught in the rapids.
It's a fight. The fish is deep down, you sit in your relatively small rubber dinghy, you're at his mercy.
Sebastian battles the mystery Goliath for nearly an hour. He's fast reaching the breaking point. His arms are giving out. Gathering the last of his strength, the angler pulls as hard as he can. In a sudden surge, he sees the whopper at last.
We looked at each other. It was gigantic. We had goosebumps. The fish whacked his tail on the water. Then I knew. This is a big one.
It's a mammoth Wels catfish, longer than the boat. More than ever, the men are determined to land it, but it's too big to battle in deep water. They decide on a backbreaking and risky plan. to maneuver the massive fish toward shore.
You can dislocate a shoulder with such a big fish. It's human versus animal, or fish versus equipment. Rod, everything could have broken.
Nearly spent, Sebastian and Christoph reach the riverbank. Christoph gets out of the dinghy. Sebastian hands him the rod and reel. But the fish keeps fighting. Sebastian decides there's only one thing left to do: wrestle the beast with his bare hands. He jumps in the water and tries to grab hold of the fighting catfish, but it's too big to manhandle.
It felt as if you're lifting a tree trunk. I pulled him up like this. His whole head was lying in front of me, and his giant chest bit.
Finally, after 5 tries and an epic 2.5-hour tug of war, the angler wrestles the beast into his arms. Victory. It's the catfish of his life, a record breaker. Before releasing it, Sebastian and Christoph weigh and measure the titanic fish. Over 2 meters long and nearly 84 kilos. The largest German wels ever caught on rod and reel. But biologists fear whoppers like the wels may go the way of the dinosaur. Apex predators like these face climate change, pollution, and overfishing. Some believe there's only one hope: taming the wild, turning big fish into livestock, a practice called aquaculture.
In many ways, aquaculture is analogous to farming, except it's an aquatic version. It's like raising cows, except instead of raising cows, you're raising catfish. That's a way of actually protecting wild stocks.
Aquaculture's still in its infancy. Advocates are trying to make practices healthy and sustainable. But opponents say farmed fish are exposed to waste and toxic chemicals used to fight disease in crowded ponds. In addition, farming big fish like catfish, salmon, and tuna requires vast amounts of fish feed caught in the wild.
So one of the challenges of aquaculture is that to do it on a commercial scale, to make it viable, requires crowding a bunch of fish together. You have to feed them a lot. If the fish get sick, you have to use antibiotics. All of these things can alter the habitat. So while the future may be in aquaculture and not the internet, it has to be done in an ecologically sustainable way.
Many argue the ultimate solution is to restore native habitats, allowing alpha predators once again to dominate the deep. Marlin. In an ocean full of whoppers, they're the ultimate swordsman. These speed demon predators can swim over 80 kilometers an hour. But their greatest trick takes them from swimming machine to flying machine.
Well, some marlin can jump probably 15 feet in the air, which is pretty impressive.
Why do marlin jump? The question captivates anglers and biologists alike. From sardines to tuna, other fish can fly, but marlin may be the ocean's most astounding aerial athletes.
They'll jump, they'll tail walk, or they'll literally leap clear out of the water. And to see a fish that big do that, the amount of speed and force it takes to get that big a body out of the water is pretty amazing.
Theories on marlin leaping range from fleeing to feeding. Hooked marlin catapult above water, trying to shake themselves free. Other times, they may leap to ambush prey or lose a potential predator. But some biologists believe marlin jumping may come down to a pesky parasite. These constant companions are called copepods, tiny crustaceans with cylindrical shells, long antennae, and grasping legs. Copepods cling to marlin, crawling up and down, burrowing into their skin. Their nickname says it all: sea lice. To try to shake these pests, marlin may take to the sky.
So they're like lice on a human, or a flea or a tick. They're along for the ride. Some of them actually suck blood or fluids from the fish. So other reasons why they may do that is to shake parasites off their bodies.
Whatever the reason marlin jump, one thing's certain: For an angler, these flying fighters are the ultimate challenge.